Today I am here to talk to you about what I believe are the fundamental principles of conscious leadership. So thank you again for that introduction, and thank you for having me here. I have a podcast online. The thing about inspiration, motivation, and education is it's something that you do every day. And I know you guys know that. If you're being led by Jeff Parcells, you know that it's a process and not just a one-day motivational thing. So, next slide, please. So today I want you to be selfish. Today is about you. It's going to appear to be about me and some of my stories, but I was thinking earlier today, what do I want to say to these kids that I wish I knew in high school? What has made the biggest difference in my life and my ability to lead and have a successful podcast? And really, we all have a vortex of influence. And who is in that vortex of influence? We're all rubbing off on each other all the time. The question is, how are we rubbing off? Are we a positive influence or a negative influence? And all of us have both light and dark within us. So, next slide, please. My primary objective is what 10 principles of personal development and leadership have made the biggest difference in my ability to become the leader that I am today. So I found personal development a little later than I wish that I had. One of the reasons why I love sports so much is that I think the greatest form of personal development starts with self-discipline and ambition to be better. Next slide. Go ahead. Do you have a mouse or anything is there a mouse attached to this or anything like that? I'd almost be better off just doing it. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Appreciate your help though. Okay.
You're gonna see how I handle criticism now.
So first and foremost, who are you speaking to and why should you care? Okay. So I graduated, as he mentioned, from Uxbridge High School. Jeff Parcells was my high school freshman history teacher. And he was the first one who actually forced me to do public speaking, which is fascinating. And I remember being terrified at the time, and now I get paid to do this. So it's kind of wonderful how things can manifest. So this is me at graduation day in 2007. I know I look 12, but I'm actually 30, believe it or not. I graduated from WPI with a degree in electrical and computer engineering. That was my dream since I was 8 years old, to go to WPI. I was good at math, so I was told be an engineer, and I did that. Then I got my master's. He already went through this, so I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. I did a lot of job hopping, a lot of soul searching. So I think that our culture wants kids to understand what they want to do from a very young age, but I think that we don't have the knowledge and experience necessary and the reflection on that knowledge and experience to really understand where we fit in the world yet. So exploring is huge, and the most important thing, I think, is developing yourself. So we're going to get into that. Long story short, I worked at a lot of different companies. I rose very quickly. I job hopped a lot. I first went as a technician, then I was an engineer, then I was into marketing, then I went into business, then I went into sales, inside sales, then outside sales, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit of story in a minute here. I also started a company called Campus Libre. It was basically a campus-specific textbook, campus-specific Craigslist for textbooks to help students buy and sell textbooks cheaper. Now I am a podcaster, speaker, fitness coach. I have several clients, and a male model as well, and a natural men's physique athlete. I'm going for my pro card this year. I also, the name of our podcast is the Hyperconscious Podcast. Leadership principle number 1. One thing, one common denominator. I've interviewed over 80 world-class achievers. That's what we do on our podcast. So we basically take the most wealthy, affluent, incredible athletes and people, bring them on our show, and then we pull back the curtain on what it really took to achieve those dreams. And what you're going to find is that personal development and leading by example is always the common denominator. Now, one thing that's true about all really successful people is ambition. Not everyone is ambitious. And that's a realization that I had to realize very early in my life. I do believe that one of the only reasons I'm up here right now speaking to you is I was super ambitious from a very, very young age. So one thing I want to challenge you to do today is to really up your dreams. Because we set our goals, we make our goals, but then our goals make us. It's not to achieve the trophy. It's what the trophy will make of us to achieve it. I wouldn't be the man. I right now am a living, breathing byproduct of my ambition. And your ambition as a leader needs to be to serve something greater than yourself, and we'll get into that. Okay, so let's take a moment real quick, and let's think of a person, place, or thing that has changed our life. For me, one of the examples I use is Good Will Hunting. If it wasn't for Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's ambition and that team of people and their leadership and their going outside their comfort zone to create that movie, I wouldn't be the man I am today. Because this movie helped me during a dark time step into my greatness. Now, we all have someone or something that changed our life, and that's going to keep happening. Remember that all of those things that changed your life was a byproduct of someone else's ambition. So I want to increase your ambition. Okay, you will only ever grow in proportion to the size and scale of your ambition. Imagine someone who wants to squat 500 pounds versus someone who wants to only squat 50. Now, we all suck at first. We all start with 50, and that's great. But the ambition and the vision, you don't have to want to squat 500 pounds, but there's a version of that for you. I think we all have Michael Jordan level talent within us. And if anything, interviewing 200 episodes on the podcast of the most successful people in the world, everyone is ridiculously good at something. And when you find that thing, and you really harness it and step into it and serve the world with it, you're going to lead so many people around you. So this is my fitness coach, Nate Smithson. He was 3 minutes from me in Uxbridge. You remember Nate? Big Nate. So what is the difference between the man on the left and the man on the right? This man changed my life. This man helped me overcome some of the vices that I was indulging in and develop some virtues, fitness specifically. So as soon as I decided that fitness was going to be a priority for me, all of a sudden, I noticed Nate, even though for basically 25 years prior to that, he lived 3 minutes away from me. So that's one thing that I'll talk about. You've all probably heard of the law of attraction and stuff like that. When you set a goal, a true north, now the persons, places, and things that you need to attain those will come into your life. They were always there. I'll give you an example. I just bought a Subaru Legacy not long ago. Now all of a sudden I see them everywhere. They were always everywhere. The difference is now my brain notices it because it thinks it's relevant. So as soon as I set a fitness goal, all of a sudden I run into Nate and I learned so much from this man. And he led by example. He still is. I still talk to him every week. So I want to tell you a quick story. This is me 4 years ago. And this is someone who drank too much and too often, who probably didn't have the best habits, who I believe was not leading by example. Now, this person had pure intentions and a big heart, for sure. But pure intentions is only one step in the formula. So I was up in New Hampshire with my little cousin, and we were coming to a fork. We're driving to TGI Fridays. I thought the road stayed right. It actually went left. I was supposed to yield. I didn't. I got in a pretty bad car accident, and basically I remember this lift-kitted truck with the brightest lights I'd ever seen. I'm getting chills just talking about it. In front of me, and I had that millisecond moment of like, this could be it. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I lost my father when I was 2 years old in a car crash. I was 26 at this time. He passed away at 28. So this, for me, was the ultimate wake-up call. And this is when I became what I would consider a conscious leader. Okay, we talk a lot about PTSD, and that's a very real thing. Double yellow lines scared me for a long time. I was claustrophobic, couldn't walk through doorways, all that kind of stuff. We all have our own things to work through. But we don't talk enough, in my opinion, about post-traumatic growth. When I thought that could be it, and from someone who grew up in a family without a father, like, I see the impact that he had on everybody. He was in sales. 450 people came to his funeral. I still to this day hear stories about him. We have a bigger impact on others than we could possibly imagine. And I have a very emotionalized version of that because of growing up without a father and hearing the stories. But like, just remember that you matter. And if you think you don't, it's not true. Okay, so post-traumatic growth, the phoenix from the ashes. I started asking myself the tough questions. Did I do what I believe in? If that was it, would I be proud of the man I became? These are the questions we need to be asking ourselves constantly. This is a quote that I now live by. You cannot see the stars during the day. They're always there. But sometimes it takes the darkness to see clearly what we simply could not within the light. When you are in emotional pain, I know how hard it is being in high school, being, having all this ambition, being on sports teams, needing to perform. When you're in those dark emotional moments, that's when I think you're going to notice things about yourself and others, and you're going to find that true north, the bright star in the sky. That's when I found personal development, by the way, and leadership, is when I was in the dark after that car accident. So I made a decision that day, and I want that day to be today for you. So why am I here? I am not here to entertain you. That will be very clear. I am not here to tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear, what I believe you need to hear, what I wish someone had told me that I admired. Leadership principle number 2, leaders always carve their own unique path. Now, after that car accident, I found this book. Her name is Bronnie Ware. She's from Australia. She's actually coming on the podcast on the 16th, which is a huge win for us, which is awesome because she's very difficult to get a hold of. She has a TED Talk that's super famous, but this book, she worked in hospice for a long time before she ever wrote this book. And basically, she was supposed to take care of the terminally ill. And she started noticing a pattern. They all said, I wish, I wish, I wish. So she wrote a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. I have a flashcard in my pocket with all 5 at all times. The number 1 regret of the dying is I wish I had lived a life true to myself and not what others expected of me. One of the fascinating parts about high school is that in high school you want to fit in. When you get to be my age, you want to stand out. You're all done fitting in. And if you can start that process now as a leader and carve your own unique path, don't be a follower, be a student. Make sure everything you do is the result of your own conclusion, not what other people wanted you to do, but who you are. That's the one common denominator between all successful leaders, in my opinion. They do not ever just follow. They know when to follow, they know how to be a student, they know how to learn from other leaders, but they always carve their own unique path. Okay, now this slide I think is fascinating. The tip of the iceberg is what the whole world is showing you all the time. Okay, so if you didn't know any of the depths of that story I told you and you just saw my physique and my presence here, that's just the up top, the physical, the results. Now, I think that the physical, the shiny objects that marketing is constantly bombarding us with is actually the byproduct of something far deeper. Now, the mental, emotional, and spiritual is the stuff that I think real leadership lives. I often say it's the silence between the notes that makes the music. And it's like, what are you doing in private that's going to make you a good leader on the field in public? Okay, leadership principle number 3. Whether we are aware of it or not, all success on the surface is actually a byproduct of something far deeper. If you want to change the fruit, which is what the whole world is showing you, then you have to go to the root, and that's what today is about. So what makes the difference between this man on the left, drank too much too often, was not happy, was not proud of himself, needed that wake-up call of a car accident, and then this man on the right who is proud to be the man he is today? The difference is personal development and the desire to serve a mission greater than himself. You all are on sports teams, correct? Your desire to serve the team is actually going to give you more than it gives anyone else. And I'll try to prove that in this presentation. Leadership principle number 4, all leaders have vision. They believe in something that no one else can see yet. Now, we've all heard of faith, and I don't mean religion, but faith. Your ability to see something in advance and believe in it. Believe it or not, this man on the left believed in that long before anyone else saw it. And I have some more slides about that later, but it's a powerful concept. Someone imagined the car when there was only horses. Someone imagined the airplane when there was only cars. And someone imagined the space shuttle when there was only airplanes. What could you imagine today? I want you to get the creative juices flowing. We all know Jack Sparrow. This is what I call the magic formula. So, that compass, when you hold it, it always points to your heart's genuine desire in persons, places, and things. Now, this to me is what I consider is the real magic formula. Whatever, if you held that compass right now, I want you to think to yourself, what would it be pointing to? Like, what is my dream? Folks, when you get my age, dreams get less and less. Very few people my age have genuine dreams that they're chasing, and it saddens me. But if you have a dream, hold on to that, no matter what it is, whether it's on the field or off the field. Dream big. So where would the true north be pointing? Number 2, a commitment to constant and never-ending improvement. This is personal development. Every single day, if you know exactly where you want to go, which can change as you grow and evolve, but it's always adjusting, and you commit to constantly and never-endingly improve in that direction, and then you never quit, the inevitable result is greatness, your own unique version of it. So, two people go to do a puzzle. Person A and person B. Person A sees the cover first, has a vision. Person B doesn't. Person B is going to take 10 times longer to put those pieces down. Those pieces are your daily actions. If you don't know where you want to go, how do you know what to do today? And a lot of people have let their visions die, and now they're just throwing puzzle pieces down, and they don't know what it's supposed to look like. In 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when you're my age, you will have arrived. The only question is where. And I want you to arrive somewhere well-designed. Okay, so you must pick a target. This was me, believe it or not, 3 years ago, not 2 years ago. Now, fitness is the greatest analogy for life, in my opinion, because I think fitness is the greatest form of personal development. So I'm going to use fitness a lot here, but that's because that's my sport. Natural aesthetic, men's physique is my sport. So it's an analogy for whatever you guys do in the world. This is what I looked like 3 years ago. This I had on my phone background, and when I looked like that, I put that on my phone background. Now, I got made fun of for 2 full years. My buddies were like, dude, you have a guy in your background? Like that whole thing. I put that on my phone background, and I saw it every day. I was trying to prime my mind for what I knew I wanted. And then look how close those are 2 years later. And by the way, everybody told me I couldn't do it. They're like, Greg Plitt is on steroids. There's no way you can do that in 2 years. Everybody doubted me. But I knew I could. Leadership principle number 5. Leaders commit to constant and never-ending improvement. Good enough is never enough. What I mean by that is you can be grateful for what is today while achieving more. On the podcast, we call this grateful dissatisfaction. I am always dissatisfied. 400 pounds is not enough on deadlift. I want 405. You can get better. We can all get better every day, but we can also be grateful for what is, and it's the dance between those notes that will make you great. So this is what I call the upward spiral of success and the downward spiral of failure. This is a big one. My buddy Kevin, co-host of the podcast, he created this. If you have an uncertainty and a lack of belief in yourself, you're going to take no action. And when you take no action, you get no results, which proves to you that you suck. I remember times in my life where I thought I sucked. I thought I wasn't good enough. I felt like crap about myself. I had low self-esteem. So that created an uncertainty of results. So then I took no action, and then I proved to myself that I sucked by not getting results. What if you reverse that? What if you inject belief? This is your goal as a leader. This is my goal. I want to inject belief and confidence in each and every one of you to chase something bigger. Because who you become is a byproduct of that. If you inject belief right there, then you'll take action. I don't care what the result is. No one will outfail me. I'll never forget when I learned that Michael Jordan, greatest basketball player to ever live, actually missed more shots on the court. I was talking to his personal trainer, per time on the court than any other player. Is that a true stat? Tim Grover said that. I talked to him on Instagram not long ago. We're trying to interview him on the podcast. He said Michael Jordan, per time on the floor, took more shots and missed than anyone else. When I found that out, I figured out the formula. He was willing to try more than anyone else. He says, I failed and I failed and I failed over and over again. And that's why I succeeded. No one's going to outfail me. This speech, I can already tell you, is not going as well as I wanted it to. But I'm here. The person who shows up anyway. That technical stuff, that was all uncomfortable. Doesn't matter. I'm going to get better because of it. Okay, the snowball effect. This is why the rich get richer, the happy get happier, the in shape get more in shape, and the confident get more confident, because they keep proving to themselves that they're worthy by taking action. Your job as a leader is to constantly inject confidence and belief into yourself, what you talked about leading by example a lot, and into others. That's my goal. I want you to believe in yourself so much that you set bigger goals. And that's why I keep showing you that other picture of me. Because this person I am now versus that person is a byproduct of my goals. My goal is to serve you guys. My mission to inject confidence in other people. Okay. Everyone at all times is influencing those around them. I mentioned that earlier. The speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. I always see myself as the lead snow dog. We're doing an event in Florida. We're trying to sell out a stadium on the beach with 500 people. And all I can think every day when I wake up is, Alan, don't let the team down. The team is watching me. And when I'm hustling, they hustle. If you want to be a leader, remember that you are the speed of the pack. If you work harder, your whole team will work harder. If you aren't working harder, your team will not. Period. Number 7, you cannot lead others until you can lead yourself. We know that. You have to lead by example. I talk a lot. People will never do what you say, but they will do what you do. That's the other reason why I hope you guys touch base with me on social media, because I know one time is just once. I want daily apple a day, not 7 apples on Sunday. We'll get into that. Now, that snow dog you saw earlier, we all have 2 wolves within us. You've probably heard this story. There's a good wolf and a bad wolf. One of the wolves is jealous, envious, not confident, lacks self-esteem, not disciplined, lackadaisical, lazy. The other wolf is confident, believes in himself and others, ambitious, optimistic. Which wolf wins the fight? They're always fighting. The one you feed. Leadership principle number 8, you become your habits. This is one of my favorites. So Aristotle has a quote, "You are what you repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit." All of the great leaders that we interview on the podcast, they have ridiculously structured daily disciplines. You all have your own specific sports. It's the silence between the notes. The notes are the games. It's the practices that make you win the games. So what are you doing when no one's watching? It's the question you always need to be asking yourself. So this is the habit loop. Trigger, behavior, reward. There's a great book by Charles Duhigg called The Power of Habit. I use this in my life every day. If you want to change the behavior, you have to change the environment. So for example, if I wake up in the morning and there's Oreos in my room and I have a fitness show coming up, the trigger is seeing the Oreos. The behavior is walking over and eating the Oreo. The reward is the dopamine hit I get from the sugar high that I get. That creates a bad habit. And then all of a sudden you're slugging Oreos on the regular. Now this is nothing against Oreos. I'm just saying if it's not congruent with your goals, then it's a bad habit. Same goes for good habits too. Now here's the problem. So this is a picture of New York City. That horse wanted nothing to do with me. The horse of habit. We are all on the horse of habit. And it's taking us somewhere. 95% of your daily actions aren't even conscious. They're just habits. So we're all on the horse of habit. The only question is, where is it taking us? And the thing is at your age, you can't tell how far off course you are yet. I went to my 10-year reunion last year. Some people are way off course with their health and fitness. Others are not. The difference is habits. And I have nothing but compassion for people who aren't. Remember what I looked like 4 years ago. That's why I do what I do, because I empathize with that. But the difference between me then and me now is my habits. Okay. Bad habits are easy to create and hard to destroy. For me, alcohol was my kryptonite. I went to college, partied a lot. Nowadays, I don't drink anymore. Partially for my fitness goals, but also because it was holding me back. Now, I have a wedding on Saturday coming up. And I know when I get there, I'm going to be uncomfortable at first. And in that uncomfortability of seeing everyone from college, I'm going to want to drink. Now, if I do drink, the discomfort goes away because I'm back into basically a more comfortable place that I'm used to when I was back in college drinking. And then they're going to be more comfortable too. You you get comfort right away. But the next day, I'm going to be potentially hungover and not feel as good as I would have. Now here's the problem. Bad habits get rewarded right away. I get out of the discomfort right away. Whereas if I wait and don't drink, I sit in the discomfort all night and then I'm happy the next day because I'm in the gym not hungover when everyone else is hungover. That's just an example that I use, but this is the problem. Good habits are hard to create and easy to destroy because the benefit comes way later. If you and I play chess and I'm thinking 10 moves ahead and you're thinking 8, I will win every time. This is something that they don't teach us necessarily, but if you can think 10 moves in the future, you are going to win on the macro. There's the macro and the micro at all times, today and the decade. If you choose what you want to be in a decade, and then you make sure today is designed to bring you there, you are going to destroy everybody else in your sport, in your health, in your family, in your businesses, in your careers. Like macro over micro is like my thing. And that all comes back to having a vision, clear, specific vision. Okay, Leadership principle number 9, consistency is king. We all know that it is not the strongest, fastest, or smartest who wins in the long run. It is the most consistent. At your age, it is harder to tell that, but when you get to later on in life, I say this all the time. Tom Brady, greatest quarterback to ever live. We get to see him for 30 seconds with his trophy. We don't see the 30 years it took him to attain that. That's the thing about mass media. We've got basically them showing you all the highlights, but none of the behind the scenes. Remember, you need to want his habits more than you want the trophy. This is his book. I have so many friends who love Tom Brady. I love Tom Brady, but we love him for different reasons. They have not read his book. How to Achieve a Lifetime of Sustained Peak Performance. How many people in this room have read this book? How many people here love Tom Brady? Okay, why do you love Tom Brady? Because he's great. But I want you to love his habits more than you love him. He sleeps 9 hours a night. My friends take shots. Tom Brady doesn't drink. This is all his hero. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying you need to want the mastery more than you want the result. And if Tom Brady writes a book, I'm gonna read it. Okay, it's an apple a day to keep the doctor away. It's not 7 apples on Sunday. It's what you're doing every day that matters. Another John Maxwell quote, he has a book called Today Matters. You will never change your life until you change something that you do daily. I know this is heavy content, but this stuff I wish I knew in high school. You guys have unbelievable potential at your age because the compound effect of good habits over time, in a decade, you could be anything you want. And older people try to tell you that because they know it's true and they wish they did it too. I'm so passionate about this. Okay, number 10, you become your associations. This is a big one. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I do not know if you've ever heard that before, but if you haven't, this is the biggest one. If you saw who I hung out with when I was that other person, you would know why I was that other person. If you see who I hang out with now you know why I look and am the way I am. That's Nate in the middle. Beautiful ex-girlfriend and high school sweetheart, Jimmy Brooke. My buddy Matt, Andrew Copeland, 120 pounds down, used to be 340 pounds. You remember Andrew? Kevin Palmieri, co-host of the podcast. You will become the sum average of the people you associate with. I want you to be ridiculously discerning. This is so hard at your age. We all want to fit in, we all want to be liked, but choose respect over like sometimes. Be discerning. This is the amalgamation of those 5 people. That was kind of my point. But don't forget what I used to look like. This is only 3.5, 4 years ago. And if you saw my associations then, see? So this is your only life. I want you to be very careful about who you spend it with. Very careful, very discerning. Anchors and engines. I have clients every single week we touch base on this. Who are the anchors in your life? Persons, places, and things. So who is the person that is pessimistic, telling you you can't do it, telling you you suck, telling you, you know what, no, you don't need to work harder. No, you don't need to do that. Let's just hang out. If you treat your life casually, guys, this is something, again, we don't learn enough early, or we certainly don't hear it. If you treat life casually, like some people are just like, whatever. 10 years, that person's going to be miserable. Treat your life seriously. This is a serious game. You don't get another chance. That's what the car accident did for me. It woke me up. You don't get another chance. Figure out what you want and chase it like your life depends on it, because it does. Anchors and engines. Get rid of the anchors. Figure out who fills you up. Who out of your friends inspires you, motivates you, helps lift you up, supports you. Those leaders lead leaders. My whole team is leaders. I want to lead leaders. I want to help equip them with the tools necessary to go and influence others. They all have their own vortex of influence, and mine gets bigger. And the opportunities are endless. There's something called the law of the lid of leadership. John Maxwell wrote a book called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. 10s don't follow 9s, 9s don't follow 8s, 8s don't follow 7s. Tom Brady, the opportunities that he has to be around, he's around all 10s. Now, how do you get there? And I don't mean 10s in terms of looks, or anything like that. I mean 10s in terms of discipline, sacrifice, due diligence, sweat equity. Discipline, I think, is the rarest thing in the world. I'm going to define discipline real quick. not wanting to do it, but doing it anyway. How many people do you know that do what's best for them versus what feels good in the moment? Leaders always do what's best, choices versus feelings. It's never going to feel good to put in the hard work, never. But you will feel good and be proud of yourself after. Stop trying to feel good in the moment and start chasing something greater. And you'll be the leader, guaranteed. So I'm going to give you a poem. This is one of my heroes, Les Brown. He's a public speaker. And there's a poem that he gives that hit me deep, and I hope that it impacts you guys here. And I'm just going to say it. If you want something bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, if you'll gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, if you'll simply go after that thing that you want with all your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold, poverty, famish, or gaunt, nor sickness or pain of body and brain can keep you away from that thing that you want, if neither darker than grim, you besiege and beset it, with the help of God, you'll get it. He is tenacious. If you guys want to be leaders, get rid of timidity and complacency and get tenacious. My wish for you is simple. If you wish to be leaders, if you wish in 10 years to be proud of yourself, which, by the way, many of my friends are not, okay? Good hearts, great friends, no discipline. They are not proud of themselves. They're not excited. They're not enthused. They're not exceptional. Some of them are, but my old friends in high school that didn't learn this stuff and embody it are not as happy as they may seem to be. My wish for you, I do not wish for you to have an easy life, but a deeply meaningful one. I do not wish for you to take the common path, but the more challenging and far more rewarding one. And I do not wish for you to do what makes you happy, but to do what makes you great. Because what makes you great will make you happy. This is an example of me leading. You saw that person after the car accident who was not proud of himself. This is the greatest reward you will get. Inspiring those around you is the greatest fulfillment you will ever get. But I want you to be this guy more than you want to be that guy, because you can't have one without the other. And at 5 a.m. when I'm alone in the gym, putting in the hard work to memorize these poems, to lift these weights, to look the way I do, to be the way I am, to study, reading Abraham Lincoln on a Thursday night when everyone else is partying, I want you to be this guy more than you want to be that guy. Because if you want to be this guy, you will be that guy. Many thanks.